having as our proctor, we have the incredible Iamaugieray, also aka the Pluralist, owner of Hype Studios LA, and we are just very, very excited and grateful to do this partnership with the Soraya, who is helping us out. Which, speaking of the Soraya, make sure to be there Thursday to see this incredible man perform. So, without further ado, thank you so much for coming on out, and enjoy this incredible evening with Adrian Younge.
Check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Check. How many times have you heard that before? Check. 1, 2, 1, 2. I'm sure there's a lot of interesting stories. Let's get another hand clap for Adrian Younge. This is actually, to be honest, when I was in college or whatnot, going to these master classes, this is actually where you see who really wants it and who doesn't. You know what I mean? Because the truth is you're here, you're here to learn, but you're also here to experience. You know what I mean? And to be a part of something that you don't even know. 10 years from now, 15 years from now, you might be like, man, I remember that talk from Adrian Younge, and he just gave me some nuggets to move me forward. I'll tell you for sure, there's been a lot of master classes that I went to that allowed that opportunity. So thank you for being here, but more importantly, thank you for being here, Adrian Younge. And
thank you.
Yeah. Oh.
1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Feedback loop.
1, 2, 1, 2. Thank you, man.
Well, yeah. Let's dive right into it. I want to start in a different way. Quincy Jones once said, the last thing on this earth will be music and water, right? What is your perspective on music, and how has it kind of crafted, I want to say like an endless possibility space for you?
Well, first of all, music is important, and for people like us, I always say that music, we act like it's more important than it is, right? But this is the thing. A lot of people don't think it's as important as it is, but I'll say this. Everyone here believes in love, right? That you can fall in love with somebody, yes? But you can't touch that. You could touch vinyl. You could fall and you could be in love with music. Music's a real thing. It's tangible in its own way. And it's very important to us because I feel like it's the #1 form of expression for people. That's just how I feel, And when I think about like being your age and planning for my future, I always wanted to be a producer. I always wanted to do music ever since I was young. But it's not one of those things where you just go to school and then you come out of school and you have a job. Just like you say, you gotta want it. Like you're here because you want it. So you're trying to figure out your way on this nebulous path. And on this path, you'll start to kind of see some light. And you'll realize that you can essentially do the things that you want to do. So with me, my path, everyone's path is different, right? Because again, the path is so nebulous. There's not just one way to go and it just works. In a way, it's not supposed to work because our society is not necessarily built for that, So just, I always say if you put yourself in a position to exceed expectations when opportunities arise, you will definitely make it in what we call music, this important field. And in addition to that, you have friends that are probably better than you at what you're doing. But what you will see is that your friends will give up. And if you don't give up, you'll win.
Wow. Yeah, I read this story actually the other day, which I thought was very interesting. They said that Bill Gates, and I knew this story from Malcolm Gladwell's Outliers, but I didn't know the whole story, which was Bill Gates had the opportunity to work on one of the only computers. There was about 3 computers that were made during, was that like the 60s or the 70s, that he had access to. And him and his friends, went into the room and decided to get really good at using the computer. And now this is a place that is not necessarily, like a popular place, and he had access to this. But the interesting thing that I found about this story, which I read before, but now the other story was the fact that Bill Gates had a friend that was just as good at computers and business as he was, but unfortunately died on a mountaineering accident. 1 in a million chance that this kid dies in a mountaineering. Now, I don't mean to be graphic, but the interesting thing that I thought about was, now, within your music journey, right, how many signs did you see pointing towards, music in that sense, growing up or whatnot? Tell us a little bit about some of those, I like to call them good omens from like The Alchemist, and that's.
So, my again, all of our paths are different. I have my academic side and I have my creative side. So, I always knew I wanted to be a musician, but I also knew that I wanted to have a law degree, be an attorney. So, when I was doing my undergrad, I'd come home, do my work, and work on beats at the end of the night. When I graduated, when I was in law school, that's when I finished my first album when I was in law school. And it's interesting because the more I proved to myself that I can do whatever I want to do, the more these doors all open for me. And I started to separate myself from my peers because of my belief in myself, right? And it's not an arrogant thing, it's a confidence thing. I'm so confident that if I continue to fail, I get closer to success, that it pushes me, because every time I win, there's an adrenaline that comes, and it gives me more energy. I'm not tired from it. So I wanted to carve my own path by building in security, right? So the worst thing I could do is just be a lawyer, even though I wanted to be a musician at the end. So with me proving to myself I could finish a book, proving to myself that I could write, proving to myself that I can be disciplined, I applied all that discipline in learning how to become a musician, because I didn't have any formal training as a musician. And when I started, I didn't know other successful musicians. I just had these dreams and I knew I wanted to do this or that. So when I was young, being this young hip hop dude as a kid, rapping, beatboxing, b-boying, all that stuff, I knew I wanted to have a lifestyle, right? I wanted to grow up and do what I wanted to do. But I knew I had to be disciplined and work hard to do it so that it could put me in the best position to win. So in getting my education, that gave me a security blanket where if I didn't get to this side fast enough, at least I had enough education to get a job to help keep me alive, to be able to do music. But moreover, by getting my education, I became more and more disciplined. I believed in myself more because everything I said I would do. So for me, it's like as if I'm two people. There's one person that's checking me to make sure. I always say it's like the employer and the employee. I'm my own boss. So the employee is the person that's supposed to be doing the work. The employer is the person telling them to do the work. So that's how it's always been for me. But taking that path has put me in the position where I became so confident in what I want to do that nothing could stop me. And I felt that ever since I was young. And I'm still on my journey. I'm still going. I'm not even close to where I want to be,
Yeah, you kind of fast forward in that sense of of life, but what are those doors and windows you had to kind of break through? Because I think right now, more than anything, it's very important for us to know that nothing is instant. You know, although we have Instagram, we have all these things where it's like, well, it's perfect, right? Walk us through kind of, you know, how do you get from college, you know, going from, you know, going for a lawyer degree to, you know, working on Black Dynamite? What is that process?
So I started making beats in '96, and I wanted to be able to, I had a sampler and a little tape recorder, and I wanted to be the next, I'm not sure if you guys know who DJ Premier is, or Ali Shaheed Muhammad. Okay. I wanted to be the next RZA, these people. So I was making beats every day, sampling these records. And in sampling these records, I realized that the records were inspiring me more than the beats I was making from the records. So I determined that I had to learn how to play instruments and also record these records like they were doing in the 60s and 70s. So I went on this deep path of teaching myself how to, and this is all pre-YouTube. So I would just pick up an instrument, buy an instrument, figure things out until I could trick people into thinking I'm professional.
What was the first instrument, real quick?
Keys.
Okay.
Keys. I bought some piano, but then right after that I bought bass, and right after that a guitar, and then drums, and I was literally figuring things out. So in '99, I said I want to make an album where I could play every single instrument on the album. So this is around the time I started law school. And sometimes it would take me a full week to make a drum pattern because there's no splicing, you know, just doing it, right?
There's no autocorrect.
But I did it.
Yeah.
And I released a CD in 2000 called Venice Dawn. And I would just I would just pass them out. And what happened in me doing that, I was DJing in LA, doing a lot of different hip hop spots in LA. And one of the cats I was DJing with had recently directed a movie with Michael Jai White. And people didn't know I was a musician. They thought I was just a dancer and a DJ, and like I was doing film stuff, or I was like a documentarian documenting LA hip hop scene and all that stuff. People didn't know I did music. So he came to my house, and he was like, "What the hell you got all this vintage crap for, like in your garage?" I was like, "Yo, I do music." Okay. And this is a time when, again, people only knew I was doing these hip hop documentaries and just like film festival. I was doing that early 2000s, right? So one day he said to me, "Hey, my friend Michael Jai White has a script, like a blaxploitation script of a blaxploitation movie he wants to do. And maybe you could be the editor and do the score or something with all that vintage crap you got in here." And I was like, "Yo, I would love to. I would love to meet him." So I met Michael Jai White. He doesn't live too far from here. I remember going to his house and we all hit it off. And he said, "Yo, I got this script called Superbad. And it's about this blaxploitation character, blah, blah, blah." And it was the first script I ever read. And just to back up, I always wanted to be able to do film. Always, I wanted to make beats, but I always wanted to be a composer. So I read the script and it just blew me away. And I said, "Hey, maybe we should just shoot like a fake trailer or something. Maybe we might get financing or something." And we all agreed. Like, I remember me saying it first, but it could have equally been one of them saying at the same time we should shoot a trailer. But I always remember in my head as this. So we got Super 8 cameras, and I remember myself and the director, Scott. He wasn't director at the time. On Melrose, there was this old VHS place. I forget what it was called, but they had rare films. So we got like coffee, different blaxploitation films, VHS, and we just cut up parts of that, and we shot Mike on Super 8. So if there was a blaxploitation film where someone got shot, and then they flipped to the person get shot, and they're like, we would shoot Mike Jai White shooting that person, and then the other person. So if you go on YouTube, you could actually, if you look up Black Dynamite trailer, maybe like the early one, you could see some of this early stuff that we did.
Yeah.
Anyway, we did it, and we sent it to the person that financed my friend Scott's first film. And he said, this is cool trailer, why you send me this? And we're like, we just shot this. He's like, holy shit, I want in. And make a long story short, he got the money up, and we shot Black Dynamite, we went to Sundance, Sony bought it, and I was able to edit the film and score the film. So I would edit the film from like 4 in the morning to like 5 in the afternoon.
Wow.
And then from 5 in the afternoon to night, I would do the music for it. So it was like a dream come true, and this is around 2007. So it just happened. But it happened because I was ready for the opportunity. I was already playing all these instruments. I was already this 70s music guy already. And I was already doing my own documentaries on the hip hop scene and all that stuff. So I was already editing, but I was doing all this just in case there might be an opportunity for me to be able to score a film or do something where people could recognize my talent. So I diversified and did different things in hopes I could get to this point, and I got lucky that I was able to edit a film and score it, and that was the real launch of my career.
Wow, I love that. I mean, thinking about being in a position where you're ready for something. I mean, I think a lot of times we're like, okay, well, should we do this because it's hot? Should we do this because, you know, other people want me to do this? And being in a space where you're curating and you're creating and you're getting to this place where now the opportunity comes or whatnot. And in the industry, we kind of call that the call, right? You got like the phone call, and it was like, hey man, we need you to do this. Let me see what you can do or whatnot. What was that like to go from, you know, just mentally, to go from, you know, working what I call out of your basement, kind of like, you know, giving out records and stuff, to now having this premiere or this time to showcase the music that you created anyway? Was there a difference, or did you feel like you just walked into, you know, a whole new world, or what was that like?
Well, this is definitely gonna sound arrogant, but I always knew I was dope. Like, it's funny when before people knew who I was, before I even talked to all of my friends that, you know, that would see me in the b-boy clubs and all that stuff, like, I already knew where I wanted to go. So literally what the difference was is that people started to recognize who I actually was on the inside. And the reason why I say it like that is because I never really changed as far as like who I evolved for sure. But I always believed in myself, like super believed in myself. So now it's just people are saying like, oh, other people know your name now. And that's kind of weird for my friends that people are recognizing my name from this movie that blew up and from my other stuff that happened after that. But I was the same dude because like the mission continues, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm still not even where I need to be yet, bro. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So it's kind of like if 20 years ago you would have said to me I'd be at this point right now, I wouldn't even know the ceiling could rise more for me. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think the one key that I would love you guys all to leave with here is that you're an artist whether you're making money or not. That don't mean nothing. No one else can validate how great you are because you're the best version of yourself, you know? Like I'm the dopest Adrian Younge in the world. There's no one could even come close to being a better version of me. But I can't even come close to being a better version of you guys, right? You all have your individual thoughts and your experiences, and all you have to do is turn that into tangible form. So the thing is that nobody can validate you. Like, one thing is, I always wanted an Emmy. When I got my Emmy, for a split second, I was like, damn, man, fuck, I mean, this is great. Me and Ali Shaheed got it together for something we did. But you know why it was dope to me? Just to give it to my mom. That's it.
Wow.
But like literally that's it. I didn't change my career. Didn't make me think, oh, you know, I am a really good composer. Like none of that mattered.
Yeah.
So it's just like you got to believe in yourself and then keep working at it and becoming better versions of yourself. And then what happens, I always say that if you keep doing that, you become a vacuum for the kind of people you want to associate with. And my career is a perfect example of that. But just belief, you know?
Yeah, no, speaking about that belief and kind of getting into Art Don't Sleep, right? So 2007, Art Don't Sleep is formed. You know, what I love about knowing about your story is that you're multi-hyphenated pluralist. I mean, I don't like to put so many names on things because I feel like when you put a name on something, it becomes something. But realistically, how do you, you know, as far as like transmuting, you know, kind of that business structure of like now you're running the umbrella corporation to what is today, right? How do you get to that place, understanding that you had this probably ahead of time where you're like, okay, I'm doing music, okay, now I need to form it into something. You know, just for some of our, you know, music industry business majors in here, you know, getting it out of the mud and like really working towards creating something that's solid, you know, as solid as Art Don't Sleep is. Can you tell us a little bit about that direction, how you got there?
So, well, first of all, with Art Don't Sleep, so my manager and business partner is Andrew Lajero, and we've been tight for a long time, and he's actually the one who created Art Don't Sleep. And then what we founded together, along with Ali Shaheed Muhammad and Adam Black, is Jazz is Dead. But the thing is, when all the Art Don't Sleep stuff was happening, we were both doing a bunch of things at the same time. And essentially, what Art Don't Sleep is literally what the name is. It's, we do dope shit. So think about it like this. And I really mean this. Why is it that for me, myself, for my partner Andrew, for Ali, like all of us, why is it that we want to make money, right? It's actually not even really for security as much. It's just to give us the freedom to do dope shit. So the more money you make as a true creative, the more you could reinvest into getting your vision across. That's exactly what Art Don't Sleep is. That's exactly what Jazz is Dead is. That is our mantra. To do the things that we want to do. It's a lifestyle. Like the one thing I never really wanted to have to do every day was to wake up and have a schedule that I can't change. Unless I choose to be part of that because it's gonna help me creatively. So it's the whole journey with Art Don't Sleep, Jazz is Dead, and all this stuff is like us being hip hop dudes, DJs that would spin records by Lonnie Liston Smith or Gary Bartz, people that we never ever thought we would meet. But then you're like, yo, there's a lot of heads that know about these dudes. And we could throw concerts for people just like us. But actually, we can also bring them into the studio and record brand new music with them to continue the conversations they started decades ago. And actually, what we can also do is give them a new audience and update their pre-existing audience so that they're not just stuck playing that local jazz club. No offense to that local jazz club, but like because we look at ourselves as like arbiters of cool, right? It's that DJ perspective. If you're a true DJ, you spin whatever the hell you want to spin.
Yes.
So it's that point of view when it comes to concerts, when it comes to us making records and all that. And what has happened in these last decades is that we've been able to galvanize the troops. We've been able to galvanize people just like us that are like-minded, that feel that music is very important and we want to give flowers to these legends while they're still alive. Yeah. So it's been amazing because passionately we've been dedicated to just doing like what we want to do. So it's interesting because from a business standpoint, right? Yeah. Saying just do what you want to do and not think about money. But from a business standpoint, if you say do what you want to do and do whatever you can, bust your ass to make sure that you can make money from your lifestyle and be successful from it, that's like another level. And what's really interesting with Art Don't Sleep with Jazz is Dead, in 2025 now, we're the biggest we've ever been right now. And we went to Blue Note, we went to Def Jam, we went to Concord, we went to all these different places, sat at these tables and said, yo, this is what we want to do. If we do this in conjunction with you guys, we could actually help your catalog, we could put out new music, we could bring a younger audience to everything that we're doing. And essentially everywhere we went, all these labels pretty much said, yeah, we would love to do it. But then they would scratch their head and say, well, we don't know what it is though. What are you guys doing again? It sounds right, but we don't know what it really is. Mm-hmm. And we realized that we just had to put all of our money into this and just build it. And what's crazy is that we built it and it's become something global, man. And it's become something global and like we won, and it's not, and to be honest with you, it's not like we're not rich off of this at all. But going back to like money giving you freedom, like we're free to do whatever the hell that we want to do with all of our idols. And we just do what we want every day. And then we, like I said, people like us come together to celebrate, like your shirt, to see Cortex and all that stuff, man. It's like, we're all seeing it come alive. And again, from a business standpoint, we're not like making millions of dollars. Well, let me rephrase, there is millions of dollars in revenue, but we're spending millions of dollars to make sure that everyone's getting paid right, to make sure that the records sound the best, to make sure that we're in the best venues as much as we can be, and just to keep everything afloat, you know. So this whole journey is still happening, and I only reflect on this when I'm asked these kind of questions.